The harbinger of Earth. The Galactic Monitoring Station Delta 9 erupted with frantic activity as alarms blared through its crystalline corridors. Senior observer Xalvik's membranous wings fluttered anxiously as his compound eyes processed the data streaming across holographic displays. "Confirm signature," he commanded, his translator converting clicks and chirps into standard galactic common. The station's AI responded with cold precision. "Signature confirmed. Human warship detected. Classification: Sovereign-class battlecruiser. Designation: HS Harbinger." Silence fell across the monitoring chamber before erupting into controlled chaos. Xalvik's antennae twitched as he authorized an emergency broadcast to the Galactic Confederation's Central Command. The humans were on the move, and history had taught the Confederation that human warships never departed their territories without significant consequences. Aboard the HS Harbinger, Captain Ilara Voss stood with hands clasped behind her back, studying the tactical display. At 45, she carried the confidence of a decorated officer who had earned her command through merit rather than political connections. Her close-cropped black hair, with streaks of silver, and the cybernetic implant visible near her right temple, were badges of experience earned in humanity's previous conflicts. "Status report," she demanded, her voice calm but authoritative. Commander Marcus Chen, her executive officer, responded without looking up from his station. "All systems nominal, Captain. We've cleared the Sol checkpoint and are proceeding at full interstellar velocity. Estimated arrival at the Proxima Nebula in 38 hours. Voss nodded. The Harbinger, humanity's newest battlecruiser, represented Earth United's commitment to protecting its expanding frontier after the Nova Centauri incident 2 months prior, when a human scientific outpost had been destroyed with all hands lost. "Captain," Communications Officer Rivera interrupted, "we're receiving an automated warning from a Confederation observation post. They're designating our course as a violation of Treaty Zone 22C. Voss's expression hardened. "Standard procedure. Acknowledge receipt but maintain course." The bridge crew exchanged knowing glances. Confederation species had always viewed human expansion with suspicion despite decades of peaceful coexistence. Their warnings were predictable, almost ritualistic at this point. "Tactical. Run a comprehensive scan of the approach vector to the Proxima Nebula," Voss ordered. "If the Confederation is nervous about our movement, there might be something they don't want us to find." Lieutenant Commander Kea at the tactical station initiated the long-range scans. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures near the nebula periphery. Multiple vessels in formation. None match known Confederation registry profiles." Voss leaned forward. "Details." 9 vessels, Captain. Formation consistent with an intercept grid. They're positioned directly in our path to the nebula where Nova Centauri Station was located. The atmosphere on the bridge tensed. Nova Centauri had been humanity's farthest research installation, dedicated to studying unusual stellar phenomena, with 147 scientists and support personnel. It represented one of humanity's most significant scientific investments beyond Earth-controlled space. "Communications, hail the lead vessel," Voss ordered. After several tense moments, Rivera shook her head. "No response, Captain." "They're receiving but not acknowledging." Voss's jaw tightened. "Senior staff to the tactical room immediately." In the Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Confederation, representatives from 23 spacefaring civilizations gathered in emergency session. High Chancellor Zorik, a towering aquatic being with luminescent scales and 6 articulated limbs, called the session to order. "The humans have deployed the Harbinger beyond their recognized territories," he announced, his voice resonating through the chamber. "This vessel represents their most advanced weapons platform. We must determine an appropriate response." Ambassador Trell of the methane-breathing Valerians pulsed with bioluminescent agitation. The last time humans moved a capital ship of this classification, 2 Confederation outposts were reduced to debris fields. "That was different," countered Ambassador Shirana of the Crystalline Luminary. The humans were responding to the Draken pirate attacks. They had justification. Justification. Trell flashed angrily. They obliterated an entire mining colony because they suspected it harbored those responsible. High Chancellor Zorik raised his upper limbs for silence. Regardless of past events, we must address the current situation. The Harbinger is approaching the Proxima Nebula at combat velocity. Intelligence suggests they believe we are responsible for the destruction of their research station. Ambassador Sharana tilted her crystalline head. Are we? An uncomfortable silence fell across the chamber before Zorik responded. The Confederation Council issued no such directive. However, the enforcement fleet under Admiral Krex has established a blockade around the human facility's former location. The chamber erupted in confused debate. Ambassador Sharana's crystalline form vibrated with alarm. On whose authority? Zorik's scales darkened, a sign of discomfort among his species. Admiral Krex authorized the blockade based on intercepted data transmissions. The human facility had been experimenting with quantum resonance technology. Ambassador Sharana's voice cut through the rising clamor. Quantum resonance. That technology is prohibited under the Arcturus protocols. Precisely, Zorik confirmed. Admiral Krex believed immediate containment was necessary before the humans could weaponize their research. Back aboard the Harbinger, Captain Voss reviewed the tactical assessment with her senior staff. Dr. Maya Sharma, the ship's chief science officer, pointed to the holographic representation of the intercepting vessels. These energy signatures are consistent with Confederation Enforcement Fleet technology, specifically their Predator-class vessels. What's unusual is the radiation pattern. They're running at maximum combat readiness. Commander Chen frowned. Why would a Confederation fleet intercept us without formal notification? More importantly, Voss said, fingers drumming against the tactical table, what are they hiding about Nova Centauri? Captain, Dr. Sharma said hesitantly, I've been reviewing the station's last data transmission. They were studying unusual quantum fluctuations in the nebula. Their research indicated potential applications for instantaneous communication across unlimited distances. Voss's eyes narrowed. Quantum entanglement communication. That's been theoretical for decades. Director Harmon's team believed they'd achieved a breakthrough. Sharma explained. If they succeeded, it would eliminate the need for relay stations across colonized space. Communications would be instantaneous regardless of distance, and the Confederation would lose their control over the interstellar communication network. Voss concluded, the implications becoming clear. They've maintained that monopoly since first contact. Lieutenant Commander Kea spoke up. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Lid Confederation vessel. The main screen activated to reveal a stern-faced alien with pale blue skin and prominent cranial ridges. Human vessel. This is Admiral Krex of Confederation Enforcement Fleet Omega. You have entered restricted space. Power down your weapon systems and prepare to be escorted back to your territory. Voss stood tall. Admiral Krex, I am Captain Ilara Voss of the HSS Harbinger. We've lost an entire research outpost in this sector. We are here to investigate and recover any survivors. Your research facility was evacuated for violations of the Arcturus protocols regarding prohibited technologies, Krex replied. Under Confederation law, we are authorized to contain all personnel and research materials. Voss's expression remained neutral, though her eyes hardened. The Arcturus protocols govern weapons development, Admiral. Our facility conducted communication research. Research that could be weaponized, Krex countered. We have monitored your experiments with quantum resonance. Such technology has catastrophic military applications. Voss looked to Dr. Sharma, who nodded slightly, confirming the Admiral's claim wasn't entirely baseless. Quantum communication technology, if modified, could potentially disrupt the very fabric of space-time. Admiral, I propose a joint inspection team, Voss offered. Allow my science officer to accompany your personnel. We can verify the nature of the research together. Admiral Krex's features tightened. Unacceptable. The facility personnel have been quarantined. You will withdraw your vessel immediately, or we will take action to enforce Confederation security directives. After the transmission ended, Voss turned to her officers. Options. Commander Chen spoke first. Their fleet has us outnumbered 9-1. But not outclassed, Lieutenant Commander Kea observed. The Harbinger's shields and weapon systems are generations ahead of their Predator-class vessels. Voss shook her head. I'm not starting an interstellar war over a misunderstanding. Dr. Sharma, prepare a complete briefing on the outpost research. We need to prove it poses no weapons threat. And if that fails? Chen asked. Voss's expression grew grim. Then we remind the Confederation why human warships are respected across known space. On the Confederation flagship, Admiral Krex ended the transmission and turned to his aide, a slender being with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs beneath. The humans aren't withdrawing, the aide observed. As Administrator Nexus predicted, Krex replied. What are your orders? Krex stared at the tactical display showing the human battlecruiser. The vessel's sleek, predatory form seemed to embody humanity's reputation. Efficient, deadly, unpredictable. Maintain intercept formation. Power weapons but do not target. Let the humans understand our resolve without provoking them unnecessarily. The aide hesitated. And the transmission from the research facility. Should we inform Captain Voss that we received a distress call before implementing the quarantine? Admiral Krex's expression darkened. That information is classified by direct order of Administrator Nexus. The humans cannot know about the anomaly their scientists encountered. The consequences would be unpredictable. As both sides prepared for a potential confrontation, neither realized they were being observed by a third party. In the shadow of a nearby asteroid, a vessel of unfamiliar design maintained perfect stealth. Its occupant, hidden within an environment suit that concealed all identifying features, transmitted a brief message to an unknown destination. The pieces are in position. Both Confederation and human forces have responded as predicted. Proceed with Phase 2. 6 hours into the standoff, Captain Voss paced the bridge of the Harbinger, tension evident in every measured step. The Confederation vessels maintained their intercept formation, weapons powered, but not yet targeting the human battlecruiser. Any response to our latest transmission? Voss asked. Communications Officer Rivera shook her head. Nothing, Captain. They've acknowledged receipt but refused to engage in further dialogue. Dr. Sharma approached with a data tablet. Captain, I've been analyzing the sensor readings from the nebula. There's something unusual about the energy signatures we're detecting. Voss took the tablet, studying the complex waveforms. Explain. The Confederation ships are generating a dampening field, standard procedure for a quarantine. Sharma began. But there's an underlying resonance pattern that doesn't match known Confederation technology. It's almost as if what, Doctor? As if they're containing something, not just preventing communication. Sharma concluded. These patterns resemble containment protocols for quantum unstable phenomena. Commander Chen joined them, his expression grim. Captain, I've been reviewing our intelligence reports. 3 weeks ago, we received an unusual request from Director Harmon. He asked for specialized equipment designed to measure transdimensional fluctuations. Voss's eyes narrowed. That wasn't in the mission briefing. It was classified under Science Directorate protocols, Chen explained. I only found it while searching for precedents for our current situation. Voss turned to the view screen, studying the Confederation vessels with new understanding. They're not enforcing a quarantine because they're afraid of what our scientists might develop. They're containing something our scientists already found. Lieutenant Commander Kea interrupted. Captain, we're detecting a small vessel approaching from the far side of the nebula. It's not Confederation design. Identification, Voss demanded. Unknown, Captain. It's broadcasting on an old emergency frequency. Wait, I'm receiving a text-only message. It claims to be from Director Harmon. Voss straightened. On screen. The message appeared, text scrolling across the main display. To HSS Harbinger, Confederation, note what they seem. Research Facility, Discovery Ancient TCT Neurology. Third party, manipulating both sides. Sending data packet. Trust, no one. Mon. Authentication codes. Voss demanded. Kea nodded. They matched Director Harmon's personal identifiers. Communications, notify the Confederation vessels we've detected an unauthorized craft. Tactical, prepare to receive the data packet but isolate it from main systems. As the officers carry out her orders, Voss turned to Dr. Sharma. Ancient technology. Sharma's expression was troubled. There have been rumors of artifacts left by a precursor civilization. Most scientists consider it fringe theory. But if Harmon found evidence... Captain, Kea called out. The Confederation vessels are moving to intercept the small craft. On the view screen, 3 Confederation ships broke formation, accelerating toward the mysterious vessel. Without warning, they opened fire, energy beams lancing through space. Shields up, Voss ordered. Tactical, target the Confederation vessels firing on that craft. Warning shots only. The Harbinger's advanced targeting systems locked onto the Confederation ships. Precision energy pulses flashed past their hulls, a demonstration of superior targeting capability without causing damage. Confederation vessels are breaking off pursuit, Kea reported. The small craft is continuing on course toward us. Extend defensive shields to cover its approach, Voss commanded. Prepare Shuttle Bay 3 for emergency docking. Rivera looked up from her station. Captain, Admiral Krex is hailing us. He sounds agitated. On screen, Voss ordered. Admiral Krex appeared, his blue features contorted with rage. Captain Voss, you are interfering with a Confederation security operation. That vessel contains dangerous contraband. Allow us to neutralize it immediately. The vessel claims to be operated by Director Harmon of our research facility, Voss countered. Under interstellar law, I am obligated to render assistance to a human citizen in distress. You don't understand the danger, Krex insisted. The occupant of that vessel has been exposed to technology that affects cognitive processes. They cannot be trusted. Voss's expression hardened. Then we'll take appropriate quarantine measures once they're aboard. Harbinger out. As the transmission ended, Commander Chen approached. Captain, if that really is Director Harmon, and if he's been exposed to unknown technology, we'll take precautions, Voss assured him. Full isolation protocols in the shuttle bay. Dr. Sharma will oversee the medical examination personally. 20 minutes later, Voss stood outside the isolation chamber, watching through transparent barriers as medical personnel attended to an elderly man with wild gray hair and haunted eyes. Dr. Sharma approached, removing her protective gear. Is it Harmon? Voss asked. Sharma nodded. DNA confirms it. His physical condition is stable, but his neurological readings are unusual. There's activity in brain regions we typically don't see in humans. What did he find out there? Voss wondered. Captain, Sharma said hesitantly, he's asking to speak with you. He says we're all in danger, humans and Confederation alike. Defiance and alliance. Dr. Sharma led Captain Voss into the isolation chamber, where Director Harmon sat upright on the examination table. His gaunt face bore the marks of exhaustion, but his eyes, keen and alert, fixed on Voss with unsettling intensity. Captain Voss, he said, his voice surprisingly steady. Thank you for intercepting my ship. I was afraid the Confederation would destroy me before I could deliver my warning. Voss maintained a professional distance. Director Harmon, we're glad to find you alive. What happened to the Nova Centauri station and its crew? Harmon's expression darkened. Most of the crew is alive, Captain. The Confederation has them in protective custody, though imprisonment would be a more accurate term. Why would they destroy the station and detain our people? Voss asked. Because of what we found. Harmon reached for a data pad and began drawing complex equations. 3 months ago, we detected unusual quantum fluctuations within the Proxima Nebula. At first, we thought it was a natural phenomenon, but as we studied it, we realized the patterns were too ordered, too deliberate. Dr. Sharma leaned forward, examining the equations. These are communication protocols. Harmon nodded. Exactly. We discovered a network, vast and ancient, running through subspace, a quantum communication system created by a civilization that existed long before any of our species evolved. The precursors, Sharma whispered. Yes, their technology manipulates quantum states across vast distances. It's how we first found their abandoned outpost hidden within the nebula. Harmon's fingers trembled as he continued. But we weren't the only ones who noticed. As soon as we began interacting with the system, we received visitors. The Confederation, Voss suggested. No, Harmon shook his head emphatically. Something else entirely. They called themselves the Ascended. Humanoid, but not human. They claimed to be the rightful inheritors of the precursor technology and demanded we cease our research immediately. Why didn't you report this encounter? Commander Chen asked from the doorway. We did. We sent emergency transmissions to Earth United headquarters, but they never arrived. The Ascended have agents within the Confederation. They intercepted our communications. Harmon's eyes locked with Voss's. When we refused to abandon our research, the Ascended orchestrated the attack on our station, making it appear as though the Confederation was responsible. Voss processed the information carefully. And what does the Confederation actually know? They know about the precursor technology, but not about the Ascended. Admiral Krex believes he's containing dangerous human experimentation, when in reality, he's unwittingly helping the Ascended secure exclusive access to the network. Captain, Dr. Sharma interjected, the data packet Director Harmon transmitted contains coordinates and access codes to the precursor outpost. If what he's saying is true, this technology could revolutionize interstellar communication, or become the deadliest weapon the galaxy has ever seen. Voss turned back to Harmon. What do the Ascended want with this technology? Control, Harmon replied simply. The quantum network doesn't just transmit information. It can manipulate matter at the quantum level across vast distances. Whoever controls it could potentially disrupt starship engines, weapons systems, even planetary defense grids with a thought. The implications settled heavily over the room. If such technology fell into the wrong hands, entire civilizations could be subjugated instantaneously. We need to warn the Confederation, Voss decided. They won't believe you, Harmon cautioned. Not coming from humans. The Ascended have spent decades sowing distrust between our species. But there is someone who might listen. Chancellor Zorik's daughter, Lyria. She was part of a scientific exchange at our facility before the attack. She witnessed the Ascended firsthand before being recalled to her homeworld. Commander Chen stepped forward. Captain, Confederation vessels are advancing. They're demanding we surrender Director Harmon and all associated research data. Voss's jaw set firmly. Prepare for emergency jump to the coordinates in Harmon's data. If we can reach the precursor outpost, perhaps we can find proof that will convince the Confederation of the truth. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Kaya's voice came through the comm system. 3 unidentified vessels have just dropped out of FTL behind the Confederation fleet. They're opening fire. On the bridge, Voss watched as sleek, obsidian vessels with pulsing azure markings launched devastating attacks against the Confederation blockade. Their weapons, streams of coherent energy that seemed to phase in and out of normal space, tore through advanced shields with frightening ease. Tactical analysis, Voss demanded. Unknown configuration, Captain, Kaya reported. Their weapons signature doesn't match anything in our database. They're targeting Confederation ships exclusively. Admiral Krex's face appeared on the view screen, panic evident in his features. Captain Voss, what manner of deception is this? You've led hostile forces to our position. Those aren't ours. Admiral, Voss replied calmly. I believe they belong to a species calling themselves the Ascended. They're after the precursor technology in the nebula. The same technology your fleet has been quarantining. Confusion replaced anger in Krex's expression. Precursor technology. We were told your scientists were developing illegal quantum weaponry. You were missiled, Admiral. As were we. Voss glanced at the tactical display as another Confederation vessel succumbed to the Ascended attack. I propose an immediate alliance against this common threat. Director Harmon has coordinates to the precursor outpost. If we can reach it, we might find a way to counter their weapons. Krex hesitated, his pride warring with survival instinct. Another explosion rocked his vessel, making the decision for him. Agreed, Captain. We will follow your lead. All hands, battle stations, Voss commanded. Helm, set course for the nebula core, maximum velocity. Tactical, coordinate defense patterns with the remaining Confederation vessels. The Harbinger surged forward, its advanced propulsion systems leaving a brilliant wake through space. The surviving Confederation ships fell into formation behind it, creating a unified defensive grid. Behind them, the Ascended vessels gave chase. They're gaining, Chen warned. Divert auxiliary power to aft shields, Voss ordered. Dr. Sharma, work with Director Harmon. Find us something in that precursor technology we can use. As the small fleet plunged into the nebula's swirling gases, sensor readings became increasingly unreliable. Massive energy discharges from ionized particles created a natural interference that masked their approach to the coordinates. We're losing them, Kaya reported as the Ascended vessels fell back, apparently unwilling to navigate the treacherous conditions without clear sensor guidance. Maintain course and speed, Voss instructed. This is our only advantage. Deep within the nebula, reality itself seemed to warp and distort. Bizarre light phenomena created impossible colors that stretched and twisted through the viewscreen. Then suddenly, the gases parted to reveal a massive structure, geometric and impossibly ancient, yet untouched by time's passage. The precursor outpost, Harmon whispered reverently. We found it again. Voss turned to Admiral Krex, whose vessel had maintained close formation. Admiral, we need to dock and secure the facility before the Ascended reacquire our position. Agreed, Krex replied, the emergency having forged an unlikely alliance. I will send my best security team to accompany yours. Within the hour, a joint human Confederation team stood inside the cavernous main chamber of the precursor outpost. The interior defied conventional architecture. Surfaces flowed seamlessly from one to another, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. Dr. Sharma ran her scanner over a central console. These patterns are actually quantum interfaces. The entire facility is essentially one massive computer, designed to access and control the network. Director Harmon approached a raised platform in the center. This is where we made first contact with the Ascended. They emerged from this very terminal, as if stepping through from another dimension. A transportation system, Voss wondered. No, Harmon corrected. A manifestation. The Ascended aren't entirely physical beings. They exist partially in normal space and partially in quantum space. That's why their weapons can phase through conventional shields. Admiral Krex, who had insisted on joining the expedition personally, examined the alien technology with a mixture of awe and suspicion. If what you say is true, Director, then why did they attack your facility? Why not simply take this outpost directly? Because they can't fully control it, Harmon explained. The precursor system has safeguards. It requires simultaneous activation from multiple points by different species. We believe it was designed that way to prevent any single race from weaponizing the technology. Dr. Sharma's eyes widened with realization. That's why they manipulated us into conflict. They needed us to find the outpost and begin the activation sequence, but then needed to eliminate us before we understood its true potential. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Kaya's voice came through the comm. The Ascended vessels have re-entered the nebula. They'll reach our position in 20 minutes. Voss turned to Harmon. Is there anything here we can use against them? Harmon nodded slowly. The quantum network itself. If we can complete the activation sequence, we could potentially generate a quantum disruption field that would force the Ascended entirely into normal space, making them vulnerable to conventional weapons. And how do we do that? Krex demanded. It requires representatives from 3 different species to simultaneously interface with the primary terminals. Harmon gestured to 3 equidistant platforms surrounding the central console. Human, Confederation, and 1 other. Voss and Krex exchanged glances. We have humans and myself, Krex acknowledged, but we lack a 3rd species compatible with your physiology. No, we don't, came a soft voice from behind them. All turned to see a slender, crystalline figure emerge from the shadows. Lyria, Harmon exclaimed. I was aboard my father's diplomatic vessel when the attack began, the young luminary explained. When I heard the Harbinger had intercepted your emergency beacon, I convinced Admiral Krex to bring me along. Chancellor Zorik's daughter, Voss realized. You said she witnessed the Ascended. Harmon nodded. And now she can help us stop them. The 3 representatives took their positions at the terminals. As they placed their hands on the shifting interfaces, the entire chamber hummed with growing energy. Patterns of light coursed through the floor and walls, accelerating and intensifying with each passing second. The Ascended vessels have entered weapons range. Kaya's urgent voice reported. They're charging primary weapons. The first impact rocked the outpost, sending cascades of sparks through ancient systems. We need more time, Harmon shouted over the din. Harbinger, this is Voss, the captain commanded. Engage the Ascended vessels. Buy us time to complete the activation. Outside, the human battlecruiser and remaining Confederation vessels formed a protective barrier around the precursor outpost. They unleashed everything in their combined arsenals, but the Ascended ships continued their relentless advance, their phase-shifting weapons carving through defensive shields. Inside the outpost, the quantum interface pulsed with blinding light as Voss, Krex, and Lyria maintained their positions despite the facility buckling around them. It's working, Harmon exclaimed as the central console erupted in a column of pure energy. The quantum disruption field is forming. The field expanded rapidly, engulfing the outpost and spreading outward. When it reached the Ascended vessels, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Their sleek hulls seemed to solidify, losing their semi-translucent quality as they were forced fully into normal space. Their phase-shifting capability is neutralized, Kaya reported triumphantly. Confederation and Harbinger weapons are now penetrating their hulls. With their technological advantage suddenly eliminated, the Ascended vessels found themselves outgunned by the combined might of human and Confederation firepower. Within minutes, 2 had been disabled, and the 3rd retreated into the nebula's depths. In the aftermath, as joint engineering teams secured the precursor outpost and began studying its secrets, Captain Voss and Admiral Krex stood before a holographic display of the quantum network extending throughout the galaxy. All this time, Krex mused, we believe humans were the threat to galactic stability. We never imagined a 3rd force manipulating our conflicts. Fear and mistrust make us easy to manipulate, Voss observed. Perhaps that's the most valuable lesson we've learned here. Krex turned to face the human captain. The Confederation Council will need to reevaluate many of its policies regarding Earth United. This technology, if developed cooperatively, could transform interstellar relations. Or destroy them, Voss cautioned. The Ascended are still out there, and there may be others like them. This outpost is just one node in a vast network. Then perhaps, Krex suggested, extending a 4-fingered hand, it is time for our peoples to form a more substantive alliance. The galaxy has just become a far more dangerous place. Voss took the offered hand, sealing the unprecedented partnership. I believe Earth United would be amenable to that proposal, Admiral. Aboard the Harbinger's bridge 2 days later, as the joint fleet prepared to depart the nebula, Communications Officer Rivera looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from both Earth United Command and the Confederation Council. They're requesting immediate reports on the incident. Voss exchanged knowing glances with Commander Chen. Tell them we'll provide full briefings upon our return. In the meantime, inform them that representatives of Earth United and the Galactic Confederation have successfully negotiated the preliminary terms of a historic alliance. And the precursor technology? Chen asked quietly. Voss gazed at the nebula swirling on the view screen, its secrets now partially revealed. We tell them the truth, that we've discovered something that could either unite the galaxy or tear it apart, and that how we proceed will determine which outcome prevails. As the Harbinger and its unexpected allies accelerated away from the nebula, the quantum network continued its silent operations, waiting for worthy inheritors of its power. The galaxy had trembled at the approach of a human warship, but now it watched in wary fascination as ancient enemies became reluctant allies against a threat greater than their differences. In the darkness between stars, monitoring stations across multiple civilizations tracked the unprecedented joint fleet. For the first time in recorded history, human and Confederation vessels traveled in formation, not as adversaries, but as guardians of a shared future. The universe had changed, and it all began when a human warship approached.